this certification will focus on the overall general rules for ages 9U through 14 and under. Without further ado, let's jump into it. So MAYFL this year has 21 associations. Those associations are the Lithonia Lions, the William Walker Tigers, Atlanta Bulldog Academy, Noonan Outlaw Associations, Fairman Flames, 3D Champs, Gwinnett Top Gun, ATL Elite, Milford Warriors, Glenwood Hills Panthers, Riverdale Raiders, Sandtown Vikings, Old National Knights, SDA Hawks, Georgia Track Hawks, Georgia Silverbacks, Paulding County Cowboys, Gators Elite, Gwinnett Junior Irish, Stonecrest Spartans, and the Super Sports Elite Mustangs. So let's jump right into the badges. So this year, coach's certification badge is coach's certification is $25 per person, which includes your game day badge and grants you access to all MAYFL regular season games, playoffs, championship games. The badges come in 4 different categories. You have the park director badge, which is black, trimmed in black. You will have a head coach's badge, which allows us to identify who the head coach of each team, readily available because each team will only have one head coach badge, which will be red. There's a team manager badge, which is white, and then the staff badges are blue. And for those that think, are asking the question why the team manager badge is white and all the guys get colors or all the staff get colors, it's because the team managers are the ones that usually act like they got some sense, and the guys, including some of the directors, are the ones that are probably nut up. So we want to be able to easily distinguish who they are. So what the badge will allow you guys to do, like I said, it gets you into all the MAYFL games, and or if you want to visit other parks, if you got that badge, then it allows you access to those games free of charge. Our goal here is to show you guys and you individuals some appreciation for the work that you do in MAYFL. And, there are things in which we want to give back to you all to some degree as the season goes through, goes on. The only thing that the badges may not cover would be if we decide to do some like a gala, the badges may not cover that expense. So many people ask, why is MAYFL so passionate about academics? The quick and simple answer to that is MAYFL believes that academically rewarding students early and often in their youth careers helps create positive habits toward future athletic endeavors by normalizing education and sports. MAYFL is built around giving back to the communities we serve, and to serve those communities, we use football to expose our participants to rewarding opportunities both on and off the fields. In today's world of sports, academics is the tool used to diversify the recruiting playing field, and with the onset of NIL opportunities, you better believe academics will only become more of a focal point. Devontae, can you mute everybody? All right, so that's why we focus so heavily on academics. Again, there is a benefit to getting these kids early and making the connection of sports and education at an early age group. So we're not just doing it for those kids that have parental support, but we want to be able to showcase these kids with and without parental support and give them somewhere to shine academically as well as athletic. So with the MAYFL academics, I want to touch on the spelling bee. We host a spelling bee every year, and every team must have 3 spelling bee participants. The spelling bee will be on October the 9th at Glenwood Recreational Center. And if the requirement is not met, if your team does not submit the 3 people to participate in the spelling bee, they shall be removed from MAYFL postseason. The one thing that I'm trying to do to make this easier in the event, we are working with sponsors to make this a monetary prize. So we want to be able to provide a monetary prize of some sort to the spelling bee winners and maybe possibly even the runner-ups. So we're trying to bring that in to make it easier for you guys to get that participation that you want. MAYFL also do an annual award or scholastic award for student athletes. There are two levels. There's the All-A average athlete based on the 2020 spring and fall grades. And then there is a award for the AB student athletes based on the 2022 spring and fall grades. And MAYFL over the years have done some amazing events for those that qualify, that meet this criteria, and their parents and or coaches, team moms, team managers submitted their information so that they can participate. There's been a lot of fun events surrounding around that one, and we're looking to continue that tradition. And then last but not least, we're the only youth league that provides collegiate scholarships to our former participants once they graduate high school. So we take good pride in doing that. So that's MAYFL's academics in a nutshell. Now let's move to key certification dates. So the key certification dates is system locks on August the 6th at 12 a.m. The teams will be deleted at that time if you are under the 15-player minimum. Certification schedules will release on Sunday, August 7th, with instructions on how and where to upload players' age verification documents. Those age verification documents would be a copy of the birth certificate, a copy of their passport, state ID, national sports ID, or some other approved birth record. Now, we will maintain those copies on hand for the whole period of the season. In the event that there is a question about a player, then you will be required to produce the original document that matches the copy that we have on file. Certification will start on August the 8th and will end August the 14th. Certification is virtual via Zoom. If a player misses certification, makeup certification will be the first Wednesday after the first regular season game, which is August 31st. So any player that misses certification, they will be certified after the first game. So there's a strong potential that they will miss the opening game. If you are at the 15-player minimum and you gain additional players after the August 6th lock date, you can request permission to add players to your roster. Requests are granted at the discretion of the MAYFL Board of Directors. Our intent is not to penalize you if you get some more kids to come in and so forth, but we want to vet the kids that are coming in after the fact, because again, we know the games that, some teams like to play and or coaches like to play where they want to hold out some of their, star kids or whatever. So they push it to a later add time frame. So again, if we see that, or we hear that like a team may broke up and that doesn't violate the national player rule, then yes, we may be able to add those kids to your roster. And I'll get into some of that as we move forward down the details of the rules. What does the MAYFL game day roster look like? So MAYFL for our new associations, we do not use books. Every week, every game, you guys will be allowed at your age group all year long to see every roster pertaining to your respective age group. That roster will stay up throughout the whole season, regular season and postseason. I do not recommend that you print out this roster at the beginning of the year, because week over week, as suspensions come in, we suspend players. It updates the roster real time that that player has been suspended. That's why every roster is timestamped at the bottom. So if someone presents you with a roster during pre-certification check-in, we will be looking at the timestamp. That timestamp, if it's not current, we probably will pull the most current roster to make sure that all the coaches and or players are still valid. If you notice, this is my roster, but I had 2 coaches without pictures. These coaches right here without pictures, as I move into the next slide, they will not receive a badge. You must have your picture, your headshot on the roster to receive the badge, because the pictures, the photo ID picture that we use for your coaching badge is drugged right off of this page.
Also, DeAndre, go back for 1 minute if you don't mind. I'm sorry.
No,
also, make it known that the pictures need to be to the point where you can see them. And the same thing that we do for the kids, we do for the adults, for the coaches, we do suspend coaches. So that information will be posted here as well. Also, the jersey number, just in case of emergencies and a jersey is cut. This is why we use this with no numbers, because the jersey number is actually at the top of the child's name.
Correct. And as Devontae said, we're going to go into some of that now as we go into the general rules. So the 2022 rule book has been, or the MAYFL rule book has been rewritten to match today's youth football environment. So we modernized it to some degree to make our league more efficient and to bring it up to code with what we're seeing out here in the youth football community. So I highly recommend that you guys go out and read it. I'm not going to read the rule book to you in its entirety, but I am going to touch on some of the sections of things that I really want to make sure that we stress. Section 400 in the rule book defines now the following periods. We now define what an off season is, what is considered to be preseason, what is considered to be regular season, and then what is considered to be postseason. And again, the goal here is not to control you all, but to protect MAYFL from a legal standpoint and give us still some level of authority in the event that is needed. Section 700, which is the further down, key points out of section 700 of the rule book is we now have reverted the age cutoff date back to July 1st for all age conferences. In the beginning, we were trying to grandfather, or we was trying to phase out the July 1st and become more in line with the August 1st or July 31st date. But we as a league elected to just stay July 1st and keep it moving. In section 800, the key takeaway from that section is we now define a path to becoming a MAYFL team. So this is more for the part directors, but it talks about how the team is first verbally communicated and then verbally committed, and then we go through all the way from the verbal to becoming fully certified as a team. Next, we move to the section 900. So in section 900, we define the sideline. So everybody is allowed to have as many coaches as you would like. Our goal here is not to limit how many coaches you have at practice and or during halftime, but we do want to make sure that we bring about control on the sideline during games. So this rule defines the sideline, game day sideline staff to 1 head coach, 6 assistant coaches, 1 team manager. Now, at halftime, if you got 30 coaches, you still got 30 coaches left, then all 30 coaches want to come over. During halftime, they're more than welcome. During pregame warm-up, they're more than welcome. And during post-game exit, they're more than welcome to, I won't say post-game exit, but if they want to, you know how you talk to the side, they're more than welcome to gather with the team during that post-game communication. But as far as for the purposes of gameplay, who will be allowed in the boundaries are only those 6 coaches, and we're only providing them badges. All the extras will not receive badges. We've established this section established the roster maximum to 35 players. Again, this is something for both the teams and the directors. please don't come in here asking for a waiver for 36 kids, because it won't be granted. Just so you guys know that we're only maximizing the rosters to 35. And that allows us to go ahead and project cost for championships and other venues and events based on that max number. Then the MAYFL rulebook defines the definition of a national player. So I strongly recommend that you read what now the definition of a national player will be. And if that player, because you don't want to add that player to your roster and then make your team ineligible or subject to forfeits and violations for having an ineligible player participating on your team. Section 1000 defines the sideline game day attire. And it also defines the game day rules for helmet visors. So again, we want to bring a little fun back to the kids while still maintaining some safety. So we are going to permit the use of visors so long as those visors meet the minimum requirements defined inside of that section, and it will be up to the discretion of the white hat. If the white hat tells you that the visor cannot be used, that is not important for you to argue, because the rule book clearly says it will be up to the white hat's discretion. And we are having communications with the white hats from the referee association to kind of communicate our intent here and the fun factor that we want to add, so long as it doesn't violate player safety. The next thing in section 1200, we now define the meaning of football practice and rules. So there is a summer practice session, there will be a school practice session, and then a postseason and league playoff practice session. And again, our goal for defining this is because our motto is where the student athletes play. So in the summertime, we are affording you all way more time to practice, in preparation that you will have to reduce some of your practice time once school starts, so that these kids can focus on being student athletes. And then we meet you in the middle during league and playoff play, so that you can prepare for the next phase of the championship. We also in section 1200 define the equipment acclimatization period. And the reason why we do that now is because we used to get many requests coming to say, hey, we want to play in a tournament early July. So we know that there are tournaments early July, which means that we want the kids to be in some level of condition, so they don't go out and play in one of these games and become hurt. So what we've done is we put rules around supporting you guys in that. But again, we will not waver on this rule if somebody's trying to play a June tournament. If you want to play a June tournament, we suggest you find another league. Because again, at some point we got to draw the line. Section 1300, general rules. I can communicate to you guys now, there will be no games during Labor Day weekend. So in the event that you guys want to plan a tournament for your team, or coaches, team managers, you want to use that time to plan a vacation, or you want to tell your parents they can plan a vacation, do whatever you like, I'm communicating to you now. There are no games during Labor Day weekend. That section pretty much defines that, we'll let you guys know in advance. The next thing is, we define the home field hosting requirements and rules. If you are a association that has less than 4 teams, this is a section that I would definitely recommend that you read. And if you are association greater than 4 teams, I definitely recommend you read it as well, because this allows you to know what you're responsible for and how the home games are structured coming to your field. So, yep. So, all right. So I definitely recommend that you guys read the home field requirement hosting rules. Then we define game day admission. So MAYFL has allowed the associations to charge a gate fee. No park is allowed to charge a gate fee of greater than $5. and you are not to charge anyone 15 years old or younger. They must be free. So one of the things that I want to stress is make sure that you're communicating this to your parents, your fans, your entourage, that, you know, hey, when you arrive to a gate, you should not be asked to pay more than $5. If you are asked to pay more than $5, okay. So now the next thing is on game day admission. So if your parents are paying more than $5 to get in the gate, please tell them to contact us immediately so that we can get that situation corrected. Again, the goal for allowing us to charge a gate fee was not to make this a monetary thing where people are grabbing all this money. It was to help offset some of the cost of some of the private organizations so that they can also be a part of what we're doing over here in MAYFL. The next thing is all head coaches and staff in good standings with their ID badge in hand shall be free to all MAYFL games and MAYFL events. Certain restrictions may apply, like I mentioned earlier, such as like a MAYFL gala and something of that sort. So that's why we're limiting the number of badges that we can give out. Because these badges will give you all access throughout the season to all our parks, all our game day all our game activities. So whether you're playing or not playing, it will give you access to those areas. But you have to have the badge in hand and you cannot be suspended. So those are the caveats. If you lose your badge as a head coach, it is a $25 reissue fee. We also, in section 1300, we define the roles and responsibilities of the MAYFL game day representative. So it is our hope and intent, and again, this is our hope and intent to have MAYFL game day, independent MAYFL game day representatives at the games to do pre-roster checks, to monitor the on-field play, make sure that the referees are acting in accordance, to be there to document any mishaps, to be there to document any sideline violations, to be there to document any conflict. They are also there to submit scores in a timely fashion to the MAYFL system. So, and notice how I stress the word document. They're not there to get involved and to police or be security. They are there to be our eyes and ears to document how well the activities of the facility took place. We will allow the security to be the security. They are not there to police parking lots and try to question all the other stuff. They are solely there to question the on-field activities and requirements. One of the things, the biggest requirement will be to do the pregame roster check, because I know a lot of us as coaches have the egos and we don't go through the coaches certification because I feel like I can beat them, and then after the fact, you lose and now they cheated. Or the other thing, we used to do is certification checks off to the side. We want to minimize that, if not eliminate that, because we want certification pregame checks to take place in the middle of the field. The reason we want them to take place in the middle of the field and restrict you to that boundary once you've been certified is because we do not want to give a team the opportunity to certify off to the side and then do the switcheroo of the players after certification because nobody else is looking. So we just add a layer of strengthening to our certification process and league integrity. The other thing that this session discussed in 1300 is the mercy rule is 26 points or greater. There's a lot of confusion around that last year. So the Mercer rule is set at 26 points. Once a team hits 26 points, it becomes a running clock, and the winning team will no longer be able to kick off if they continue to score, and they will be first and goal from wherever turnover downs take place. Now, rules as it relates to senior level play. So these are rules that are strictly related to the age groups of 9U through 14U. Section 13 defines the field size of being 100-yard fields for all ages except for 5U, which is an 80-yard field. The referee crew sizes for 9U through 10U are 3 referees, and from 11U to 14U, there are 4 referees. I just went over the pregame roster checks as defined and communicated. Headsets are allowed on the sideline and in the press box areas only. No helmets shall be equipped with any communication devices. So you can have, your offensive or defensive coordinator in the press box talking down to all the coaches on the sideline if you want to, so long as nobody is on the field of play, and you can't have any communication of any kind in any other helmets. The quarter structures are for 9U through 14U. There are 4 10-minute quarters with 25-second play clocks. One of the areas in which, especially if you're a 9U coach, I strongly, strongly recommend that you read the 9U live punting and field goal rules. 9U is the age group where we transition from punt protection to live punting. So it is a combination of punter's protection, but then live play. So there's a transition, and punting is required at 9U. There are no more walk-offs. So I strongly advise you all to read Section 13 as it relates to 1300 as it relates to 9U punting. 10U through 14 and under, it's live. All kicking is live, whether it's field goal and or punting. It is fully live. Then we define the defense alignment rules for 9U through 14U for shotgun protection. Off the top of my head, and again, I recommend that you read it in the event that I'm wrong, but off the top of my head, I believe 9U, there is some shotgun protection at 9U, possibly at 10U, but then all the other age groups, there are no shotgun protection. So 11U, 12U, 14 and under, you do not receive shotgun protection. For shotgun. You do receive protection for kicking, like field goals and or punting. And then section 1400 defines the tiebreaker. We fixed this one as it was driving some issues in previous years. So we fixed this one to be overall record as tiebreaker number 1. Then head-to-head record is tiebreaker number 2. Points allowed is now tiebreaker number 3. And then out of division record is tiebreaker number 4. So what we, in essence, have done is we've moved the points allowed to number 3 from number 4, and moved out of division record from number 3 down to number 4. The reason we did that was, the intent behind that was, in the event that we play an unbalanced schedule for reasons that, the team count is unbalanced, and or an association may have multiple teams from the same, in the same age group, there won't be a conflict with them in the playoffs. So, because points allowed should help minimize that. But now they, both teams are tied with points allowed, then we're forced to go without a division record. And at that point, it is what it is. We've tried our best to mitigate that situation from happening. But again, if it happens, it happens. From this point, I meant to tell you all, and I apologize, the QR code up in the upper left-hand corner, if you wanted to scan that QR code, it will take you to the MAYFL rule book, PDF copy, and you should be able to download that copy to your cell phone and or whatever device you're using right now so that you can have the rule book with you. You can also find the rule books on the MAYFL app. You can go to the Google Play Store or the Apple Store and type in MAYFL, MAYFL, and it should pull up the MAYFL app. You can download that app, which will give you direct access to your coaches portal, as well as the MAYFL rules, code of conduct rules, and other pertinent information as it relates to MAYFL. We also communicate we push notifications through that app of game changes or anything, that may be impactful due to weather and so forth. Speaking of crossover, this level, I did not talk about this in the last section, but so I apologize. So you guys do know there are times in which we partner with outside leagues in the event to be supportive if our numbers are low, if their numbers are low or whatnot. So one of the things that we've done is to minimize all the confusion that causes, we've limited that to 2 defined weekends, one being September the 10th and the other one being the first weekend in October. So in the event that we need to do crossover, those will be the weekends in which we will do the crossover. And then from there, we will all other games will stay internal. Now that brings us to our Q&A session. So this is not a time to unmute. All questions should be typed into the chat box, and Devontae will read them off, and we will answer as many questions as allowable for the next 20 minutes, and then we will wrap up and get you guys out of here. So let the questions flow, and thank you all for your adherence to the directions thus far.
Do we have to make a coach log in as assistant for the app? No.
No. So the coaches, assistant coaches, you don't have access to the MAYFL system. Only the head coaches and selected team managers have access to the back office information of the site.
When will the schedule be released?
That's a great question. So the schedule will be released depending upon how well you guys execute on your end. What I mean by that is my desire and my hope was to release the schedule after the last day of certification, which would be August 15th. I wanted to be able to start working on the schedule now based on the 15-player minimum, which is why this was so important. Unfortunately, everybody has not done their due diligence to help us achieve that 15-player minimum roster content. The reason why we do 15 players is not to hinder you all from adding more players, but if you got a minimum of 15 players, most likely that team will be able to survive any of the transfer portal activities. So that was the reason why we stressed getting the 15 players in so that we can get the schedule released. Now there's still an opportunity to at least get the schedule released by August 20th, provided that we all get through this certification and we get this information loaded into the system ASAP. You technically have until August 6th to do so. So I strongly recommend we get that done so that we can start building the schedule. And if we can, my hope is still to get it out by the 15th.
How do the coaches pay the coaches certification fee, when and where for the $25?
Another good question, and thank you for that question. The $25 will be paid directly to your association, to your park director, on whatever means they see fit, and we're going to bill them based on the staff members that are loaded on the roster. In the event that a roster exceeds the allowed badge count, then we will contact that team and say, okay, who's on your staff and who is just on the roster, because we're only providing badges to the badge allotment communicated earlier: 1 head coach, 1 team manager, 6 assistant coaches.
Okay. Can William Walker charge organizations a set team gate fee?
Every association is allowed to charge, but I would recommend that you see, whatever guidelines that your city has placed on, or restrictions that they placed on you all. That is up to each individual park. But everyone in MAYFL is allowed to charge up to $5 for a gate fee.
For the academics, our kids in our county aren't graded on AB scale. What's the alternative?
Our academic commissioner is well aware of those things that are not graded on the AB scale. So she has a comparable matrix that supports the AB scale so that we can get the GPAs.
Also, a question that I answered earlier, as far as the spelling bee is concerned, it makes no difference if it's A, B, C, D, or F. We have kids that are maybe bad in math and science, but great at spelling. You allow those kids to participate. Define a national player.
I asked that you read the rule book, so I don't go off the top of my head with that one. It is in section 1300. I will give you the intent of what we were trying to do. Is the intent of the national player is to prevent a team like right after from makeup certification. You know how these teams break up and then they all try to run to one team? But we've certified a team and we've kind of got this thing locked in, and now everybody's planning accordingly. And then you have one of these so-called independent teams break up, and now you got all these kids trying to come in at the last minute. Now, because again, our goal is to remain a, how do I put this? Competition-friendly league. And certain things we don't offer. Remember, our focus is not winning a national championship. Our focus is more so being an outlet to support kids and of all talent levels and sizes and or backgrounds. So again, if those kids want to play, they need to go ahead and be with their team in the beginning. The national team players, they create a lot of discourse on the team because you've had these kids that's been practicing all year and all summer, and all these kids come in, these other kids now get moved to the side for these new kids, and then it's just a lot of drama that we, from a MAYFL standpoint, begin to have to deal with, and the fallouts from it, which winds up blowing up the schedule because this team now dropped or folded. So we're just trying to mitigate all the things that come with that in advance. So, but I do recommend that you guys read section 1300 to as it defines what a national player is.
Do team moms fall under the staff category or team manager?
So there is 1 team manager per team, and then any other additional, they will just become staff. So what I mean by that, if you're a team, let's say you had 1 head coach, 1 team manager, no, I said 1 head coach, 3 team managers, and 2 assistant coaches. From a badge standpoint, we're going to give you 1 head coaching badge. We're going to give you 1 team manager badge and 4 staff badges. So those other 2 team managers are staff.
And when putting them in the system, put 1 team manager under user, the other ones need to go in under staff.
Yeah, that's correct.
Sorry, I missed the cost for families, individuals for each game.
The total can be no higher than $5 per person that is 16 years of age or older. Anybody 15 years or below are free.
How do I upload, send birth certificates and or IDs?
That information will be sent on August 7th, I think I said.
Yeah, it'll be sent before then. Right.
Okay, or sooner. So it'll give you access on where to go to upload those documentations.
Can a coach coach two different teams in the MAYFL league on two different age categories?
Absolutely. So what happens on a badge where you are a coach on multiple teams, just depending on your level, it will show up on your badge. And one of the things I did not mention to this group on the badges, so I'm gonna kind of go back real quick to it. You all see that each badge has a QR code on it. That QR code is to make sure that we can kind of keep down any confrontation. You know how people ask for your badges? I ain't getting you my badge. I ain't getting You ain't gotta just scan the code. When you scan the code and you fill out the communication form, you can scan that badge from quite a good distance. I've tried it. You can scan that badge and upload that information onto the form that we will create, which will allow you to communicate good and bad activities. So if you have, and we don't want this just to be something for the bad. If you see somebody that's really done a great job as coaching, as because we're looking to do coaches of the year and try to bring a lot of these activities back, feel free to scan their badge and give people their flowers too. We don't want it just to be negative. So
we will be honoring outstanding coaches this year.
Yeah. So if you feel like somebody went over and beyond and they shown good sportsmanship, we can scan that badge and also make that communication.
As far as staff, what about alternatives?
So,
alternates.
I love that question now. A one game alternate, nah. So what we're doing with that is, so the way we've done the badges this year is that you can get badges year long, all year. So an event, because life happens, just say you had a bunch of coaches or a team mom that was participating in the team mom and or team manager and or one of your staff members or even head coach, they get a new job. And that job removes them from from being able to coach. And you got another parent or volunteer that wants to step in. That volunteer would absorb a spot on one of the rosters. And what I mean by that is we would remove the person that is no longer associated and replace him or her with the incoming person. And that person would still have to pay a $25 badge fee. And the badges will ship same day to provided that it's before 4:00 Eastern time. Otherwise, it will ship the next day, but it will ship same day and arrive at the association's address on file within 2 to 3 business days.
And that's Monday through Friday, not necessarily weekends.
That is correct.
What's the protocol for bad calls with referees?
Protocol for bad calls for referees. Remember, we as coaches also make bad calls. So when we make bad calls and the referee make bad calls, that's part of life. So one of the things if it's a judgment call, then that can be done better. If it is a call that is a violation of the rule, that is an opportunity for you to call your timeout and hopefully get the game day representative involved. Because you're basically kind of raising your hand and saying, hey, the MAYFL rule book clearly states this is this. Again, we're not stopping games for judgment calls. Pass interference, judgment call. Holding, judgment call. Blocking the back, judgment call. Rule calls is, continues lining up in the A gap, that's something that you can raise your hand and say, hey, ref, can you please make sure they move from the A gap? I don't know what else would be a violation. Kicking from the 35 instead of the 40. Again, it's a judgment. I mean, not a judgment call, but that's a hard rule. The referee saying you can't rush and you can only stand there and jump up and down at 10U or 14 and under. Again, that's a rule violation. You can stop and raise your hands for that. Hopefully, the coordinator will be prepared. And again, have your rule book ready to be prepared. In the event that the referee does not listen and they fully are ignoring the MAYFL rules that are not judgment calls, then we ask that you immediately document that using the app, because you can report a referee right then immediately from the app. And believe it or not, them damn things come to us real time. So somebody's monitoring. And we can pick up the phone and make that phone call as to, hey, what's going on over there?
It says the rules are not coming up on the app. When will the app be updated? We are in the process of updating the app. The rules are there. It's come up for several people, but I'm not sure. You might need to refresh your app. Close it out and then open it back up.
And the app does have the 2022 rules on it, right, Devontae?
It does.
Yep, I thought so, because I confirmed. So the rules are there. And the way you access it on the app, I think it's on the game day. It is on the game day, right?
I'm pulling up now to make sure where it is. I just looked at it just to make sure. Loading the app. You go to rules.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Go to rules.
Okay. So these are the rules.
Yep. It says rules, cheer and football are there.
Okay.
Okay. Can the team staff be on the sideline during the game?
Yeah, absolutely. If you got a badge and you're in good standing and you're not suspended, you are allowed to be on the sideline. The entourage of coaches that are unbadged staff members and coaches, they can come down during halftime. They can be on the field during pregame. And then at post game, they can meet the team off the field so they're not tying up the field with a bunch of parents and people running around talking about I'm part of the staff after the game. They can do that off to the side.
So for clarification purposes, team moms pay the $25 as well?
Everybody that's getting a badge, coach certification, will pay the $25 with the exception of the park directors. The park directors who get the black badges will not pay the $25. And there'll be one park director badge for each association. And that park director badge gives them access to be on any of the age group sidelines without impacting the staff count of that team.
Computer issues caused me to miss the badging process. How do I go about getting one?
The badges have not been issued yet. I need you all to continue to load up your staff with their pictures, because I'm gonna go back to these badges for a second. On the badges, the pictures for the Glenwood coaches at 6U and 12U. Is Coach Eddie in here? This picture
if Coach Eddie needs to raise his hand, that's the only way I can grab him.
Yeah, this badge was pulled directly off of his MAYFL picture.
Ross.
His MAYFL, yeah, his staff picture. And so was the picture for Tanae Talbot. So as the team manager, those pictures was pulled right out of the MAYFL system, because what happens is we have to export all of the users and we export all of the staff members. We look for duplicates and we eliminate any duplicates, because again, people are in there multiple times and some people have their staff members on multiple teams. We see what teams that your staff members on and we write them down and then we number them. So I don't know if, you 1, 2, 3, 4, because once I get to 6 on the staff underneath that age group, I stop. We won't give you any more. You're up to 1 to 6 for the age group. And again, if you want to use them, to bring more team managers on, that is your prerogative. They would just use the blue staff.
How and when do we pay the $25 cost for the badges, and when will we receive them?
So I think this is a repeat question, but I don't mind answering it again. So you will pay the badge $25 directly to your association. And then we will build the association based on the roster badge count. And the sooner we get all these badges uploaded, I've already ran the first data dump for the coaches and uploaded it into the badge system. Now I'm just awaiting the pictures to drag over. So as soon as we can get those pictures loaded, we can start sending badges out.
Just for clarification, it is 8 staff total for badges?
That would be correct. It would be 1 head coach, 1 team manager, and 6 staff members, for a total of 8 people on the sideline during games. Now, I know a lot of y'all got 1,100 million thousand coaches, so that's okay. They just all can't be on the sideline, and they all won't get badges. And some of them coaches are going to have to pay on game day.
So those teams that have more than 10 coaches in your system, you need to go in and vet them.
Yeah, you really need to take a look at who you want for game day staff. But because again, this allows us to, again, as we're planning, a lot of the things that we're planning for, like championships and awards and all those activities, it allows us to put a fixed number on that and set a budget around it.
At this time, DeAndre, there are no more questions other than the question about, so we have the scholarship back.
Yes, we do have the scholarship back. And again, we're looking to continue to partner with local corporations to keep these things funded going forward. I appreciate everybody taking the time out to join the coaches certification. Looks like we was at a max of 130 people during this one, and we were at 100 and something for the first one. So I appreciate you all taking the time out to hear this.
Sorry to interrupt you. Got a couple more questions just came in real quickly.
Okay.
Is it too late for coaches to get certified? And what do we do about chain crews? Do they need a badge?
So chain crews will not receive a badge. Chain crews that's a great question. Chain crews are the responsibility of the home organization. And they can be parents, but they cannot be on the cell phone. They cannot communicate to the players. They can cheer, but they cannot communicate to the players of any kind of any sort. But they do not receive a badge. The chain that they're holding is their badge. You said it was another question, Devontae?
That was it. So it's not too late for coaches to get certified?
No. So what we've done, to the second question, we are recording this so anybody can come back and watch it later. If they have any questions or comments as it relates to, certification, but the $25 certification can happen throughout the season as coaches may leave or come back. But just remember, if a coach leaves, or if you want to add a coach and you don't have the space, you got to remove someone. If you want to add a coach and you have the space, you just pay the $25 and you submit the coaches add to us, and we'll upload them. We will, they pay the $25, and we will issue them the badge. Like I said, it'll take 3 to 5 days for them to receive the badge.
I don't know if this person, DeAndre, can see the screen or not. The question is, do assistant coaches need to be certified, and will their badges be staff or assistant coaches?
It's gonna say staff. Assistant coach to us is staff. And your badge will be blue. It was easier just to write staff because, you know, everybody called people some of everything. Well, he really ain't no coach. He just he hold the da-da-da-da. Okay, he my hype man. He's staff. So
And
y'all
does they
can
need
call
to
him
be,
what you want to call him. From a MAYFL standpoint, he's staff.
and do they need to be certified?
If they want to be on that sideline, yes.
Recording will be available, made available to you at a later, maybe later on today, possibly.
And if the Facebook will allow me to load them up, I will load both of the sessions up also on Facebook and pin them at the top.
When do teams certify on game day? Is fourth quarter or before start of game?
It's before the start of game, and the reason being, we used to do fourth quarter, and doing fourth quarter, you certifying off to the side, and then everybody kind of break off and go do their own thing. If you break off and go do your own thing, there's an opportunity for you to switch kids. So if we're certifying, let's say the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, I'm okay with that being the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter. But after certifying, nobody can leave the field of play. So let me say it this way. I will leave that to the discretion of the game day representative. That way we can keep the games moving. But know that once you're certified, you cannot leave the field of play. And if a player needs to leave the field of play, that player has to recertify to come back into the field of play, just to make sure ain't no funny business going on.
Water boys and medical personnel, do they need badges?
You don't need no water boys. Give them to your team moms. They staff.
Medical staff don't need it.
Yeah. Well, medical staff would be somebody like a licensed, what you call them, paramedic or something of that magnitude. But I think the intent of their question is the people come in, I got 12 water boys. It just creates confusion on the sideline and additional distraction. Now, what I will say is we also know that some of the coaches are parents. So if you're a parent of a child and, you know, that plays at a different age group or, you know, whatnot, and they need to be on the sideline, we are not trying to stop those, you know, those individuals from being on the sideline. But we do want our sideline. What we don't want on our sideline is 14 or 15 other little kids that really are not, and you calling them water boys. And if they're over 16, they staff. All right, well, Devontae, I'll give you the last word. And as I do, I wish all you guys luck. I appreciate you all taking the time to come out and be a part of MAYFL. And I'm gonna thank you in advance for helping us make this the best year in MAYFL history.
Devontae? Once again, want to thank everyone, letting you know that we will be sending out a certification roster very soon for you, so that way we can get everything in. Please get your coaches and your players in. We can't create a certification schedule until we know what teams actually exist. I'm gonna use Fairburn again as an example. If Fairburn says they have 8 teams, and as of today, we were supposed to close the system down tonight at 6 a.m. Tonight at 12 midnight. And we don't have, let's say Fairburn doesn't have kids in for 3 of their teams, then those 3 teams don't exist. So I can't create a schedule. I can't create a certification schedule for them, nor can DeAndre add them to the schedule to be have games at all. So we need to make sure that you at least start getting those in, so that we know what we're looking at, so we can get certification done. Certification will be done virtually. And because it's done virtually, you will be able to have people wherever they are to log in, get certified. You will receive the information where to send your information to, not the day of, but 2 days prior to your certification. You will have that. Please make sure that information is scanned in one area. Once you scan it in and turn it into a file folder, then you just submit all of that at one time. If there's any questions for me, feel free to email any of us at info@mayflatl.org. That is and if you have not visited our website, check it out. A lot of people have not seen our new website, so please go to that. We're working on that, and we're working on updating our app as well. So we appreciate your help in what we're trying to do as we try to help you guys. DeAndre, back to you.
All right. Well, other than that, thank you all. Good luck to you all for the season. Let's get ready to play some ball. Take care.